This is Pop Culture Yearbook. On this show, we pick pieces of pop culture that were important to us in a given year. We then discuss our memories and dig into those movies, albums, shows, and more. I'm Brad.
I'm Pete.
And I'm Giff.
Thanks for giving me the reins back there, Pete. If you want to switch it up. You did a fine job while I was being held hostage by Tony DeMerit.
You weren't held hostage. You were dead, I thought.
Well, yeah, I don't even know.
You were not.
I told you I went through so much.
Yeah, you did. You went all the way through hell and back, and now you're on this show.
It was that amnesia.
Which is worse? Which is worse, being with me in Gifford or being in hell?
Awesome.
It's a question for debate later.
All right. We'll talk about
All right. Well, so last week was REM, right? Can't even keep track of what we recorded. No, it was Reservoir Dogs.
It was Reservoir Dogs last week.
Last week. That was the last episode before you died.
That's right.
And then you died, and then we had Teo Penglis on.
Yeah.
Without you. You should have been on it. It would have been great. Too bad you were dead.
Well, so I did REM. Pete did Reservoir Dogs. Are we continuing an R theme tonight to continue 92, Gifford?
No, we are not.
Oh, shoot.
No, and it's not even an R-rated movie tonight. We're going to be talking about A League of Their Own.
Well, you could call it like a League of Their Own.
There you go. Sure.
There you go. We can.
If Scooby-Doo was
Scooby-Doo. Yes, I was going to say the exact same thing.
Scooby-Doo.
So this movie debuted July 1st of 92, had a $40 million budget and raked in $132 million at the box office. So excellent, fun movie, fun for the whole family. Tom Hanks is, of course, great in this, along with a lot of the other cast. Usually we get into our memories of this movie. My first memory of this movie, I watched this over at Chad Drake's house with his family.
Oh, my God, that's hilarious.
Is it?
Well, just hang on.
All right, I'm going to add a laugh track to that.
Well, okay.
I didn't see the humor in it, but
have we ever mentioned Chad Drake, our friend, on the show before by name?
Yeah, I have. I think the one when you picked In Living Color, I said I was always getting the.
Okay. Well, yeah, we probably have. But anyway, my memory will tell you. It's hilarious to me that you said that.
So I just remember being super tense and pumped up at the end of the movie because it was, coming down to the championship game, and it was just fun, and sitting with his family watching it was a good time, and it was just fun to watch, and that's why I picked it again tonight.
Great pick, Gifford.
Boy, that doesn't seem like a very strong feeling for the movie that you picked.
Oh, well, you go ahead. If somebody else jump on in.
All right. Once again, but with more passion.
You were on the edge of your seat. So, hey, let me go next.
All
right. I saw this in the movie theater, and I specifically remember this movie because I went to it with Chad Drake. Nice. So he not only went... Oh, boy. Good job, guys.
Thanks.
So I don't know why it was just the two of us, because I don't think we went to very many movies, just the two of us that often. So that's why I thought that was interesting. So he went to the movie theater with me to watch it, and then he watched it again with you, with his family, and that was just very unexpected.
Watch it
so
with me.
maybe the word shouldn't be hilarious, but
coincidental.
It's a slice of life.
Yeah.
So I liked it too. This is pretty much about the first time I remember ever hearing about this league, and so I was interested in learning from it. And that's really all I got. I mean, I liked it. It was a fine movie, but I don't have any other strong feelings or things to say either. So,
well,
we'll find out as we go through it if more comes up.
Right, and I don't remember exactly the first time I saw it. I think it was in a theater, but I really don't recall. But what I do remember thinking,
did you go with Chad Drake?
I don't think I. No, I don't think I went. I don't recall seeing it with Chad Drake, but But what I do remember thinking of though is because there's a million sports movies. We've talked about greatest sports movies, great sports moments and everything. And what gets harder and harder, I think, especially for baseball movies, is to come up with an original storyline and an original, ending to it. But this was good because I thought it was original and it was based on a piece of history that, like you said, I didn't know about until this movie came out. And I think it really, it opened my eyes to a lot of things that were going on, not just in baseball, but how women had to kind of take over. Well, all the men were, or many of the men were over fighting the war, World War II. And so
including the major league players.
Right, including major league players. And so just how transformational that period of time was for women's rights in general. And this is just a slice of all that, an example of it. But of course, it's bigger than that. It's in the workforce, it's in our factories, and all of that kind of stuff. So, and it was a good movie too. It was funny, it was serious at times, and it was just really well done. Good choice, Gifford.
And then I just wanted to back up too. I had just sent you, this is so funny. I mean, it's hilarious, guys, because I had just sent you a picture. I had just met with Chad Drake in person for the first time in forever the other day. And now we're just talking about him all over the place. We're going to have to tag him on Twitter on this because I think he does follow our page.
I bet Malkern will take care of us
and shout out to Chad Drake, who's been through a lot of health issues and is just kicking ass and doing great. And it was so great to see him. So it's wonderful that he just happens to tie into this topic just out of nowhere.
Right.
Of all nights tonight.
Well done.
We love Hollywood.
Yes, Hollywood.
Yes, we call him Hollywood.
AKA.
Yep.
All right.
Gifford, before you get into the movie, did you want to do you want to take a halftime break and do a shout out?
Yeah, sure. I would love to shout out to the totally 80s and 90s recall. They are always very kind to us on socials, giving us shout outs and interacting with us. And I will just say, fellas, I will do better for you. I apologize. I have been slipping, and hopefully tonight with my top 5, I can do better. So please continue to listen. Please continue to reach out and interact. We love that you listen. Thank you.
So they called out a quote mistake you made on your choice for 92, but the way you actually described it to us, I felt like you were actually okay with that choice.
You knew what you were doing.
Mm-hmm.
But see, It sounded like you knew what you were doing, but then you make it sound like, well, that was just maybe lucky. I'm not sure, but
it was luck.
Okay.
And that's why I say I am slipping.
So this has to do with his choice of Ace of Base in 92,
yes.
which went through, but they called out a technicality, but that's all.
Yeah.
You know that A League of Their Own came out in 1997, right?
Right? Well, and actually it was set in 1988 because that's when I believe it was 88 that there was the induction ceremony for the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League.
Well, they look at you now. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, let's get into it again.
All right, I am going to do a synopsis here. For those who don't know the movie, this should kind of catch you up, and then we'll get into it a bit. So, our story begins at the home of the now older Dottie Hinson as she prepares for a trip to Cooperstown for an induction ceremony for the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League into the Hall of Fame and a reunion with many former players. Upon entering the field at Cooperstown, her memory takes her back to her time playing baseball for a local team in Oregon in 1943. She plays catcher on the team with her younger sister, Kit. A scout, Ernie Capadino, is in the crowd to watch Dottie. He sees her get the game-winning hit and follows her back to her job at a dairy to recruit her for an all-girls baseball league. With many Major League Baseball players off at war, a new league of all women is being formed. Dottie has no interest in leaving home, but her sister Kit dreams of leaving their small town and her boring life. Dottie agrees
we can relate.
Yes. Dottie agrees to join the league as long as Kit can also try out. On the way to Chicago, they stop along the way so Ernie can scout another girl, Marla. Despite Marla's prowess at the plate, Ernie doesn't think she's right for the league because she's not pretty enough. The Hinson sisters threaten to go home if Marla is left behind. Ernie agrees to bring Marla along, and he drops them off at Harvey Field for tryouts. The best 64 girls will be selected to play on 4 teams. Here we meet May and Doris. Two tough New York broads who don't back down from anyone. After tryouts, Dottie, Kit, Marla, May, and Doris are selected for the Rockford Peach team. The founder of the league, Walter Harvey, has selected a washed-up former star of his Chicago Cubs to manage the Rockford team. Jimmy Dugan, a practicing alcoholic, is not thrilled at the idea, but agrees as he has no other prospects. When the day of the first game arrives, the locker room is abuzz with enthusiastic players getting ready for the game, and many are excited to meet their famous manager. A hungover or possibly still drunk Jimmy barges into the locker room to relieve himself and squelch the mood of his players. He obviously has no interest in managing the team and leaves the girls to set the lineup and batting order. The girls are able to win their first game while Jimmy naps on the bench. As the season progresses, the girls meld as a team. Jimmy begrudgingly starts to take notice of his team and begins to manage. After some publicity, the league starts to gain fans and things seem to be going well for all involved. That is until Kit is pulled from a game for a relief pitcher at Dottie's suggestion. Kit has always felt resentment towards her older sister. Kit can never get out of the shadow of her talented sister and often blames Dottie for keeping her down. After an argument between the sisters later that night, Kit is traded to the Racine Bells. Rockford and Racine make it to the championship series. However, Dottie's husband Bob returns from war. Dottie's heart was never really into playing baseball, so she decides to go home to Oregon to start her family. The Bells and the Peaches battle through 6 games to reach the decisive Game 7. Dottie is returned to help her team win the championship. The game is a battle into the late innings. Dottie gets the go-ahead hit off of Kit in the top of the 9th. Kit comes to bat in the bottom of the 9th with a runner on and trailing by 1. She's able to hit an inside the park home run, barreling over her sister to score the winning run. After the game, the sisters have a heartfelt talk. Dottie is heading home while Kit is staying on to play ball. We return to present day, where Dottie is reunited with her former teammates, including her sister. They explore the new exhibit, chronicling their exploits as professional baseball players.
Well done. I thought that was good.
Did you say you thought that was going to be too short?
I thought that would be too long, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
I was going to say it was very detailed. So
Well, now I'm going to have to break it up into 2 episodes, and I've got some editing to do. And no, it was fine. It was good. It was well done. I am
somebody
going
who hadn't watched a movie can totally get it now.
Yep.
right.
So I left a lot of details out, some of the fun stuff that we'll get into now. But first, I wanted to get into some fun facts and a little bit of the cast. So in 2012, this film was selected to the National Film Registry for preservation. We've got our director is Penny Marshall. Of course, everybody knows she was also the director of Big with Tom Hanks in it. We have got Gina Davis.
And star of Laverne and Shirley.
And star of Laverne and Shirley. We have got Gina Davis plays Dottie, the best player in the league, of course. I was reading up on this, and Penny Marshall wanted Demi Moore to play Dottie, and after a delay in production, Demi Moore couldn't do the role because she was pregnant, and as Penny Marshall put it, Bruce Willis literally screwed her out of a role.
That's hilarious.
That's good stuff.
That's funny.
Deborah Winger was also cast as Dottie, and she trained for 3 months, but she dropped out because of the casting of Madonna, who of course plays May in this movie. And
was that opposed to Madonna?
Right,
I guess I might have missed that part.
Yeah, she was opposed to it because she thought it would be more of a sideshow. She wasn't a fan of Madonna in the acting realm, and so she thought it was a less serious movie or a less serious role.
I got just about Madonna. Let's just quick talk about her then.
Yeah,
because I found I really liked her in this role, and I thought this was such kind of like a straightforward role in like a normal movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, she really could be a good actress and do things and go from there. But after this, she went and did just the awful Body of Evidence and just got naked all over the place and made that horrible movie. And it's like, you could have stuck to some better roles and been more of a serious actress. But I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. She's able to
And I
play.
thought she was great in this role. Like she's perfectly
agree, yeah.
cast.
Yeah. She plays to who she really is because she's a New York girl. That's where she grew up, and she was able to incorporate that into this role, and it worked out perfectly. I thought she was fantastic. She was one of the best ones in this movie.
And I don't think she like steals scenes or anything like that.
No.
So I'm all in favor of Madonna here, and as many times as I did watch Body of Evidence as a teenager, it's a terrible, terrible movie.
But you did watch it because
You just wanted to make sure it was bad
all over the place.
All over the place. I watch it because I'm a huge Willem Dafoe fan.
Willem Dafoe is no slouch.
That's true too. What is he doing in there? Oh
I
God,
don't.
it's so embarrassing.
I don't really remember the plot of that film.
Oh, it's just a Basic Instinct ripoff.
Okay.
Where he's like investigating her, and then it's just one of those sex crime movies like Basic Instinct.
But not quite as good, I'm assuming.
No, and
Yeah.
Basic Instinct, while I love it, it didn't win a lot of awards, and this is not even in its league.
Right.
It's in a league of its own.
Hey,
The
there
other
it
way.
brings it right back around. Very well done.
So anyway, good job in this movie, Madonna.
Yeah,
If you're
I did
listening-
hear that behind the scenes she wasn't very well liked and didn't necessarily intermix well with
Oh, that's too
staff
bad.
and fans and things of that nature.
I take it back.
So that no, I agree with your assessment of her role. I thought she did a very good job in it. I completely, found her believable as this rough and tumble woman and with a chip on her shoulder. So yeah, I thought she was very good in it. We've got Lori Petty as Kit, the younger sister to Dottie.
Also in
and-
Point Break. She was in Point Break.
She certainly was.
And
yes.
Tank Girl.
And Tank Girl. And this would probably be her trifecta, I would assume. I did find a note that Moira Kelly was supposed to play Kit, but she hurt her ankle while filming The Cutting Edge, another great movie from this year.
It took me a second to think about who is Moira Kelly. I know that name, and then I remembered she was in that movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got Rosie O'Donnell as Doris. Another one of our main players here is Megan Cavanaugh, plays Marla Hooch, the less than attractive teammate, but obviously great puyer.
Kind of the Jim Tomey of the team.
Yeah, sure. Does anybody recognize Marla Hooch from another role?
I don't think I did. I did look her up, but I guess I don't remember.
What I remember her from was one episode of Friends. It was the one where Marcel gets loose in the building.
Oh, was she the one trying to catch him?
She's the animal control person.
That is totally her.
Yeah,
There you go. And I can picture that. She made a mark.
she did. It took me. I was trying to figure it out, but and then of course we've got Tom Hanks as Jimmy Dugan in this movie. He is absolutely wonderful. John Lovitz, as I mentioned, played the role of the talent scout.
I would have liked to have seen more of John Lovitz in this movie. He was
There
just
was.
fantastic.
Mhm.
And what do you mean there was? Like
He had a bigger role. It was going to be a bigger role that was going to play throughout the movie, and they ended up changing it because they thought, I can't remember. I think they just thought that part was just well done the way it was, and it didn't quite work after
Oh.
that.
He was a
But it
little
was
too
funny.
rude, maybe for the.
but that was what was funny about it.
I don't
Hey,
disagree.
Hey, see the grass, try not to eat it.
Yeah.
Oh, he was. I mean, of all the people in this movie, he might be the most perfectly cast for his
Mhm.
role.
Yeah.
So just
Yes.
another podcast that doesn't need any help from us, but the Dana Carvey and David Spade podcast just did like a 5-hour tribute to Phil Hartman last week, and they had like everybody ever associated with SNL on. And the part with John Lovitz was great because they talked a lot about him. And so John Lovitz and Phil Hartman would just walk around all the time playing like 1940s guys. And there's one of their best scenes is them playing off each other. And they were so good at it. And so for Lovitz to play that role here is like he was born to do this. And he's my favorite part of the whole movie.
Yeah.
Take
agreed.
the Amigos clothes. We also had Gary Marshall as Walter Harvey. Of course, he's thinly veiled as
Wrigley.
Wrigley, the owner
yeah.
of the Chicago Cubs, who in fact was the founder of this women's league. We also have David Strathairn.
David Strathairn.
Strathairn.
I
thank
like
you.
that guy. Whenever
Yeah.
I see him, he's always a guy that I love in a movie.
He plays
And he's-
Ira Lowenstein. He's kind of the publicity man behind the league, and really is the one that.
But he becomes the champion of the league,
Yep.
like to keep
Yes.
it going, and he believes in it more than anybody else.
By
Correct.
the end, he changes throughout the movie, right? That's not his original take. He's very sexist early on, and then then he starts to believe in it later.
Correct. Yeah, so I mean, just a little bit about this league. So this league ran from 1943 to 1954. Went through a lot of different name changes, but it did the Rockford Peaches, which are the main team in the movie. They won the most championships in the league at 4. And
I do find that pretty amazing that they lasted. They started because of the war, but like
Right.
when was baseball back? 46, 45 even.
Mm-hmm.
And this went on for like almost a decade, and that's pretty impressive that there was enough interest and money to be made. Otherwise, they wouldn't have kept it going. So
Well, and
right.
that men's leagues really never shut down. It's just you had a highly diluted, talent level because so many guys were off at war. And this women's league was centered around smaller towns in the Midwest that wouldn't have had major league teams anyway.
Right. That's what I was
Mhm.
thinking. Why? I mean, that these
So-
towns would have had the thirst to go watch anybody play, really. So
Sure. Yep. But like you say, the fact that it went into the mid 50s, is pretty interesting that they were able to keep it up and running. And of course, then like I said, I believe it was 1988, the league was inducted into the Hall of Fame, and there's been players throughout time that have been inducted to the league as well as individuals. So, let me see. Anybody else got anything on the cast? Anybody? Bill Pullman, I guess I should mention,
yeah.
was Dottie's
he has a
husband.
very small role.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I think that's it for the cast. Oh no,
Yeah.
no, I got 2 more. Well, first of all, I just
Go ahead.
wanted to say there was a point in this movie, Gifford, where Tom Hanks reminded me so much of you. And the more I watched him, like,
when he was the drunk.
well, it might have been after he did the long piss and everything. I mean, but not just just the facial expressions and the way, like, and I'm not saying it as it's more of a compliment, but like
Sure.
I'm like, wow, that reminds me of Gifford, and so that was one thing.
You can compare me to Tom Hanks
Any Tom,
pretty
Hanks.
much anytime you
Okay.
want. Yeah.
But there was one other kind of famous star who showed up late in the movie. I don't know if she had any lines, but she played for Racine.
Oh,
And-
Leone.
Taya Leone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Taya
she's the
Leone,
first
yeah.
baseman. She bats. She's
You
out there.
see her in different promo clips, like from the girl from the other team.
Yeah.
Kind of throughout the movie. But yeah, she was on the Racine team.
And I looked at that. This was one of the first things. Really, I mean, the stuff that I knew her from all came after this.
Mhm.
A couple of TV shows in the '90s and so on.
Right. For sure.
That was it for me on the cast.
Well, and then-
I've got nothing else. Yeah.
Yeah, the only other one I guess would be Ann Cusack. She's Shirley Baker. She's the only one with any name recognition, I would say. But yeah, that's pretty much what I had. I think Betty Spaghetti was actually Penny's daughter in this movie. So that would be about it for me. Why don't we dive into the movie itself? I just started off with, this is a horrible song in the beginning
Oh,
of the
thank you.
of the movie when Dottie's like, it's a musical montage as she travels to Cooper's.
Here's my
Tom.
note. Not a big fan of the opening, especially the song.
Oh,
It's so slow. And so, by the way, when she leaves and the kids are playing basketball, that kid traveled and double dribbled like 10 times.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
can I
I
share a
had that
pet
written down,
peeve?
too.
Can I share a pet peeve with
Please.
you guys? Kind
You
of
always do.
almost like a fear of mine that I just can't. I don't do well with. When they dress actors up in old makeup, I can't stand it, and it really bugged me more at the end when we come back. Gina Davis playing the old lady, I did not like it. It reminds me of the Brady Bunch when Florence Henderson and Robert Reed played their parents or their grandparents, even whatever. They were supposed to be like 90 years old. And so, as much as I like the whole middle part of the movie, the 1940s stuff is fantastic. The beginning and the end just kind of blow it for me almost. Really, it gets me off to a slow start, and it doesn't have a great feeling at the end. Even though I kind of get why they need to have that ending there. I wish they would have just, I don't know, maybe cast somebody else than
Do you want me
Gina
to blow
Davis
your
in
mind?
old makeup.
You want me to blow your mind or not?
Sure.
Do it.
That's Lynn Cartwright. That is not Gina Davis.
Shut up. That looks exactly like Gina Davis in makeup.
It's not.
No way.
Yep. Lynn Cartwright plays
I
older
assumed-
Dottie.
Edit everything out.
Well, I thought the same thing.
No, that's
Courtney
a good
and I were
fact. I
watching-
actually just assumed. I didn't even
Okay,
think
'cause
about
I was gonna say the one that played Lori Petty, I couldn't see her in there, so I was kind of
Nope.
like, well, wait, but that's Gina Davis.
So
we
I made the
commented-
comment at the end of the movie to Courtney. I was like, doesn't it seem weird that all these other women aren't the actor, but they have Gina Davis in
Yeah.
makeup?
Okay. That's
And
what
then
threw me off.
we were watching the credits, and Courtney goes, "Go back," and there it is, older
Okay.
Dottie, Lynn Cartwright.
Well, it
I
doesn't
actually
change
thought
my
that they-
phobia of people in old makeup, but I guess I learned something.
Yeah.
I actually thought, I thought they did a good job on the makeup, making them look like older versions of themselves.
Yeah.
But
I guess
turns
they
out
did.
it's not even the same people. So
Yeah, it's
but-
spooky how much that woman looks like an
Okay.
older.
and some of the other ones too. Some of the other actresses.
Mhm.
I'm going to say again, that is
older.
hilarious.
Excellent.
Oh, we
Uh,
did
Well,
learn that Brad
okay,
doesn't
of
like
all
old
the fun
people in
facts
makeup,
we've learned
though.
in 3 years of this show, that's the funnest, craziest fact I've ever heard.
Yeah, I was with you. I completely agree.
I'm
with
glad
you.
I'm
I
not
thought it was-
alone and didn't sound like a complete idiot.
I didn't
Oh,
learn
well.
this until 2 nights ago when I rewatched the movie in
Little bit of an
preparation.
idiot.
I guess I just assumed.
Yeah, right.
Give me a
It's-
break. They look identical.
They do. Yeah, it's kind of freaky, but
Okay.
not the same woman. But
Moving on.
all right, so
I still don't love the beginning and the end of the movie. It still doesn't change that.
Sure.
That part kind of just kind of like, I don't know. I'm glad that they have those ladies in there and they show the Hall of Faming because that's cool. That's important. But I think
They had to, yeah.
I guess for me it would have worked better as like a postscript with like reading it and like pictures of the real, stuff like that. I think for me personally would have worked better.
I think what we take away from this conversation is Brad does not like seeing older women on screen.
Yeah, I think that's what we.
No. I'd rather see an older woman than a woman who's not old in makeup.
Right. Okay, that's what we're taking away from this. Excellent. So right off the bat, as we go back to Oregon, 1953, and we're at the game with Dottie and Kit and their hometown team. Kit is such a whiner. Like she
She
just
is kind of
complains
annoying at times.
all the
Yes.
time. Like Dottie's always looking out for her, like, hey, lay off the high ones. Those aren't good pitches for you to hit. Trying to encourage her and just give her advice. And of course, Kit is just this younger
And I think-
sister.
That's on purpose. She's supposed to be because they're setting up this whole dynamic of sisters, and you've got the young one and that's jealous of the older one, and so.
Right.
Mhm.
But yeah, she is. It's like she overdoes it a lot. Like, chill out. She's a good sister to you.
And it's fun to see, as they get back to their house, how they are competitive. They can't, have to race back to the barn for crying out loud.
Even when they say they're not going to, like they
Right.
still wind up. Who's going to walk faster, right?
I did read a thing where Lori Petty is actually faster than Gina Davis, so she had to act like she was running at full speed in
That
order
doesn't-
to
That doesn't
lose.
surprise me at all.
to
She
lose
looks
the
like
race.
she would whip her in a race.
Mhm. Yeah. One thing, as a kid who grew up on a dairy farm, I like that their dairy has Jersey cows. If anybody was wondering what kind kind of cow that was that they were milking. So
I remember you
Nope,
showing
I
Jersey
wasn't.
cows.
yeah, just one in particular, but we had mostly Holsteins. But we had
Oh.
one Jersey, and she was my champion. Took
Yeah,
her
you
to
took one to the
fair.
state fair, right?
Same one, 2 years in a row.
That's what I remember.
Yes, sir. So here is where we meet the incomparable John Lovitz in the barn. It was just, he's outstanding. Asking if that hurts the cows, yelling at the chickens that they're wild animals. They should have leashes. You guys got any other lines of his?
Well, my favorite one that I wrote down, I can't remember who said what about the other sister, but he goes, "Well, thanks for that extra special glimpse into her life." And like rolling his eyes.
Yeah.
He's
For
just in a
sure.
hurry. He couldn't care less about anything. He just wants to get out of there and get him on the bus, and that's it.
Right.
Yep.
And just
There
one in
for-
particular. He's not
Well,
real
right.
happy with
Yeah.
having to take Kid along. But again, Dottie, looking out for her younger sister, says, I'm not going if you don't take my sister, and let her try out too. So
True, but it's also the younger sister who actually makes it happen by going back and begging to him, and like he was going to leave, and she got him to stay there and then worked it out too. So they both
Yep,
had a
right.
role in that.
well, and that's why, like later in the film, when Dottie's husband comes back, it is believable that she's ready to go. Like she really didn't want to go in the first place. Her heart really isn't necessarily into the league, and so for her to leave is believable. I guess
This is the part
That-
where, though, I disagree with you a bit. She
Okay.
didn't. Her heart, I think, was in the league deep down.
I agree with you, Pete.
But she felt like it was a higher calling or a sense of responsibility to go back
that could
home.
be.
But her heart was truly in the game.
Pete, I agree with you all the way.
Thank you. And that's something I had written down when you said it in your synopsis. I'm going to bring that up later and respectfully disagree with Gifford on that
But
point.
I do think, and we'll probably maybe get to it later because that's at the end, but I got some issues with her leaving the team and coming back and that whole thing. So I suppose we want to wait till the end, but
we are definitely gonna cover that. I got a couple other things here for Lovitz. I love when he's sitting on the train and there's some guy talking to him. The guy's all excited about his job, and Lovett's line here is, "If I had your job, I'd kill myself. Sit here, I'll try to dig up a pistol." And he says, "Every time I sit next to these people, it must be because I'm so friendly or something like that." He's
Well,
just so great in this film.
I want to comment on, because it's in this part where they're running to try and catch up to the train, and
Mhm.
how ridiculous of a shot this was when they were when they're running back and forth. It's like a freaking cartoon. It's like, there she is, and now she's gone, and there she is. And then did you see that there was a bar right there? It would have been much easier for her if she grabbed onto the bar, and then she would have been able to keep up with the train while running. Much easier than going back and forth the way she was.
And
Did you
people,
notice that?
Pete is a well-known hobo. He's hopped many a train in his day.
Have. Yep.
I'm the hobo. I'm the one that dressed up on Halloween.
And-
That's true.
yes.
That's true.
Yeah, well, you were a
Classic hobo.
pretender though. You were just dressed up. Pete was a real hobo, for sure. So
I did
we
like.
yeah.
The scene. So he's still there when they go to see Marla, and he's not going to bring her and everything. I really did like that scene about how the girl stood up for her, but they developed her character. She wasn't just this ugly girl. Like the dad and him talking and kind of working the heartstrings, and I thought that was really well done. And I thought it was like everybody involved in that scene had a good role, and I thought that was well done.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I
get
mean,
choked up in this scene watching it. The dad pleading with him,
Yeah.
saying, "Your mom died. I didn't know how to raise her," and he's so proud of his daughter. You see that, and he says, the coach said if she was a boy, we would have went to state, and he's like, if she was a boy, we'd be talking to the Yankees. He's so proud of her, yet he knows that, maybe he didn't help as much as he could have as far as the female side of things. It's just a dad trying to do his best
Mhm.
for his daughter, and it's such a touching scene.
And I think that, like, okay, they wanted pretty girls for this because that's that's the
That's
way
what
it was.
sells.
But
Mhm.
you got a lot of girls on a baseball team. Just every single one of them have to be beautiful. I mean, if this girl can really play baseball that good, you'd think that
She-
they could not make such a big deal out of it.
Right.
And you'd want some bangers on there too to
For
yeah,
sure.
She was,
Hit
she
some
was hitting
homers.
him like Babe Ruth. Yeah.
She was a switch hitter. She was outstanding.
So-
One of the best parts, the scene starts out funny because when she comes over and, takes her hat off, Lovitz's facial expression is so funny. It's not over. It's almost like he's trying to hold in his disgust and surprise, and he does it so perfectly because it's not over the top like,
Take your hat
oh
off.
my God, like what? And he goes running away from her. It's just, he tries to hold back, but he can't, and it's awesome. So I another one of his great lines here is they're loading the train with Marla, and she's talking to her dad, and his line is, "See, the way it works is the train moves, not the station."
That one is. I was literally laughing out loud, and like in tears, laughing when he said that. And Jenny's like, "What are you
He's
doing?"
so impatient, and he's such a jerk. It's so well
And
done.
that's why he's perfect for the role.
Yes, for sure.
Speaking of wanting, the beautiful girls and everything, there was 2 parts here coming up soon that
Mhm.
So there's this woman radio announcer, and she's talking about the sexual confusion of women and the masculinization of women and how it's ruining families because they should be home. And I'm like, it's just so it's so horribly sexist. But I'm also thinking, wow, that's really relevant still to today in the way.
I was going to say that could also be in 2023.
Yeah,
people
you could
say-
hear that on certain radio stations, political aisle. I mean, it's just like, holy
80
crap,
years
that's
later.
insane.
Yeah,
Mhm. Right.
that's sad.
Well, and the other thing that confuses me on this is that they send these girls to like charm school, and
Yeah,
like you need
those
to
were.
be like so demure and perfect, but then we're gonna dress you up in the shortest skirt possible to play baseball. So we want you to be, a lady, but then also, show off skin while you're out there playing ball. It's such a, across the board.
The hypocrisy of man.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But then
And
there was
honestly-
that promo video too. I think you brought up with Taylor. Maybe it was in it and I missed it. But just how they would show them playing baseball, but then they'd be like holding a pie or putting on makeup, and just the juxtaposition of what these girls are doing, which have nothing to do with baseball. But these
Right.
are the ways that they bring in the audience and the way that people could be brought in back at that time.
Well,
But
and
still
one
again,
of them
today.
was they talked about, and she's an accomplished coffee maker too.
All right. Well, every one of them is
Oh
like
my.
that.
So sad.
Get in line, boys.
Mhm. Of course, at the charm school again, there's with Marla, it's just funny watching her with the, she's not graceful at all. She's just like, that's some good comic relief. And then there's the famous line of, the suggestion when they get to Marla's looks, and the lady says, "A lot of night games."
Well, yeah, and then again when they're making the commercial, the shot of her is like zoomed out.
Yeah, it's like from 50 yards away, where only there's a close-ups.
She's just standing there, not doing anything. Like all the other ones, like you said, are making coffee and pie and everything.
And don't forget about Marla Hooch. And then she just puts her hand up and waves. But of course, Marla, she has a happy ending here. The scene where they go to the bar.
She does. She does.
finds a gentleman caller, and they really hit it off. And then later in the season, they get married. And there's
It's kind
the
of,
one thing I didn't understand was, as she's getting in the car after the wedding, everybody's saying, "See you next season." Like, why does she have to quit the league just because she got married? I thought that was kind of weird.
I don't know. But that whole part reminded me of 2 movies we've discussed on here. So getting married, it's like the Bull Durham scene almost,
Mhm.
I thought, the quick thing.
Mhm.
But when they sneak out at night and they go to this club to dance, Gifford, did that remind you of another movie we've discussed?
Or the club to dance.
Well, but there's different dancing going on.
Like Dirty Dancing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
where she
Varsity
carries the-
Blues.
Oh,
I was thinking like when the
oh.
guys, and I thought, this is going to end badly. I remember how the movie went. I thought, they're going to get drunk and something bad's going to happen the next day. It doesn't. So it doesn't have that connection. But still, I was like totally thinking of Varsity Blues when they all left.
I was thinking of Dirty Dancing, where Baby carries the watermelons back to the, where the staff lives during the summer, and she gets exposed to,
Oh.
the life of the people who work there.
And
But
maybe
yes,
this movie like whetted Madonna's appetite for doing the nude scenes because she's talked so much in this movie about being basically such a whore
all the
that
way
she's
May.
like all the way
This-
that she's I'm gonna go to the body of evidence next and just get it over with.
This was Madonna. No, Madonna had never sexualized herself before this movie,
No.
Brad.
Correct.
Well, this was the time when it was all coming together for her.
Well, I find it interesting as well. We had Reservoir Dogs last week, and of course, the beginning of Reservoir Dogs talks about Like a Virgin, and Madonna's
Oh,
song. And then
yeah.
this
Oh,
week
yes.
we're right back to talking about Madonna again. So
Yeah,
big
bring
year,
her up again next week
1992.
somehow.
Yeah. So we got Jimmy Dugan, of course, played by Tom Hanks. Great
Yeah, he's in
role.
this.
He's a 6-time NL home run champion. So he's had his time in the league, but of course he pisses it all away because he's a drunk and hurt his knee. So he got washed up. And what did they say? He got booted out of one league because he sold the team's uniforms. And he just plays such a jerk at the beginning of this. We have the great scene with him talking to one of his players about the no crying in baseball. That's awesome scene. And that's honestly why I picked this movie. That scene, I watched it twice and prepped for this. He's just so disgusted and he's trying his best to keep it together, but yet he still just goes off on her for, missing the cutoff.
And
Well,
what's
it's
really
great when
funny is
later
the
on
second,
it comes
yeah,
back.
that's what I was just gonna say. It comes back, and then he's holding it together, and he's just like shaking, yeah, shaking his finger.
He grew and he learned.
Yeah.
So that's his obviously most famous line and the one.
Mhm.
But my favorite line is this. So they got this little kid with all the time, and he's so
Yes.
annoying. But they're going to go to the World Series and they're late, and he's like, "Oh, let's not go to the World Series without Stillwell's toys."
Right. Well, and then in that same scene, two young boys walk up to him and ask for his autograph. They got a baseball for him. So he writes on the baseball and he writes, "Avoid the clap, Jimmy Dugan." And then as they walk away, he goes, "That's good advice."
I will say, as much as he is such a jerk at first and he has to learn to grow, I think it might be, well, it's hard to say it's my favorite scene in the movie because it's a tough scene to watch. But the scene where the telegram comes in and they're all
Yeah.
worried because there's so many references to this, like these husbands could be dying at any time. And so when Betty gets that and Gina Davis doesn't get it and he actually shows compassion, that scene actually does bring a tear to my eye. And
he was standing up for his players when the telegram guy was going to walk
and
away.
what an idiot that
Yeah.
guy is. My God.
Yeah. And then
Everybody's
he's
on
like,
pins and
just
needles
give me the
in that
effing
locker room. Right.
letter.
Then kicks him
Uh-huh.
out. Yeah. Yeah, they came a long ways. I mean, when he got, booted for yelling at his own player, all the girls are happy that he's gone. And then, we have this scene where Dottie's actually managing and, giving the signs to Marla at the plate. And Jimmy finally pays attention and says, "Well, that's not the right thing to do." And kind of takes over at that point of managing the team finally and takes ownership. You just see the progression. And finally at the end, they're a good team and kind of, really working on all cylinders until we have the blow up with Kit. And the thing I didn't quite understand here was, so Kit was pitching and it's late in the game and Dottie comes out and, asks for the ball and the manager comes out, Jimmy comes out and Dottie basically says she doesn't have anything left and they pull her. And Dottie's argument is that we need to make the playoffs. It's like, there's only 4 teams in this league. Wouldn't all 4 teams just automatically make the playoffs here?
You'd think.
Yeah. So that didn't quite make sense.
Either that
to
or
me.
the playoffs are just the World Series.
Maybe it's just a
Uh-uh.
2 team. Then you wouldn't call it playoffs, though.
Right.
Playoffs.
Exactly. Just, yeah.
Hey Pete, did you notice the score of the first game of the World Series? Did that
No.
remind you of anything?
No.
It was 10-1. Just like the
Oh,
87 Twins. Game
Didn't
1.
even register with me.
10-1.
Oh.
All right.
Well, so you've got, we have this horrible scene where Betty finds out that her husband's been killed in action. And then that night, Dottie's in her room, crying, and there's a knock on the door, and Bob's just there. Like, he shows up, and he's been injured, and he's home now. He's, been sent home from the war. And like Brad said, very small role here for Bill Pullman.
Because he's a pretty big, he's got a lot of stuff. Role. It's more of a cameo.
It really is. Yep. And of course, this is, I think we're going to get into it right here, as Brad talked about. So it's the beginning of they get into the World Series, and Bob.
So there's only like what? There's 7 games left. 7 games, max, and the whole thing is over. So
right.
Let's start with that.
Bob shows up, and the next morning, Dottie's, loading the car up, and they're heading back to Oregon to, start a family. So she, she completely abandons her team here at the biggest point of their season. So I can understand her wanting to go home, whether it's her heart's not in it, or as you guys say, she feels obligated to go home and start a family. But you're abandoning your team. You're the best player in the league. You're the quarterback on the field as the catcher. You're integral to everything this team does, and you just abandon your teammates?
Well, and I just thought it was weird how they did it, because we don't even see her like say goodbye. Like, we don't even see like the other players, like, are they upset about it? Do they care? It's just like she just kind of sneaks away. And while I have a problem with her leaving, I also would put some blame on the husband. Like, dude, she's got 7 games left. Don't you want to watch her play, and then you guys can go home?
Right.
Although he has just come out of the war, so he might have gone through a whole lot too.
But it's a callback though, and I think this is why the part that you mentioned earlier about the woman on the radio saying all this stuff about women don't belong outside the kitchen or outside the home. There were a lot of women that felt that way, and on one level, Dottie felt this way, and she that's why she just felt that was her responsibility, especially with her husband home. Now she's got to go back and start a family, and that is her top priority. And it's, she felt, and this is not correct, don't get me wrong, but she felt that was her role as a woman, was to be in the home and provide a family. Whereas on another level, though, her heart was really in the baseball, and that's where she truly wanted to be. But at home is where she felt like she had to be.
And if it was the middle of the season, I would totally get it, and I wouldn't even like blame her or anything. But literally, the season is over. Like, you're not like extending your life months or a year by being in this. It's just a few more games, and you got a team that you've been with for all this time. So
right.
And Bill Pullman,
and I know it's all done for dramatic effect, so it's like that's why. But
he seemed he seemed like a nice guy and a good husband that she loved. It's not like he was being abusive that we saw at all in the movie.
No.
It's like, get your ass back home.
He didn't do anything on screen, but I felt like he could have at least said, "Hey, I'm interested. What you've been doing? That's pretty cool. Let's go. Let you finish the year out. I'd love to watch that."
Right. Yeah.
Well, but at the same time, at the beginning of the movie, she was reticent to go back for this ceremony. So, she was happy with the life she chose. It seems like all these years later, she wasn't, she didn't even keep up with her sister, for crying out loud.
Well, and that's what I was just going to say. That might have been a part of it too, is she realized it was kind of tearing apart her family, with her relationship with her sister. And so maybe she's just like, I can't do this anymore. This is not the most important thing to me.
So in the series, Racine, I think, goes up 2-0, and then it's 3-1, and we got the Peaches come roaring back. And then for game 7, all of a sudden Dottie's on the field in her gear during warmups, and she's just back.
Well, and this is another, okay, thank you. Because I'm like, so she didn't say, we don't see her talk to the team. Like, hey guys, I'm back. She's just standing there, and nobody even acts like there's anything weird about that.
Right. Yep. She's just back. She's got her gear. She's, good to go, and everybody's fine. And of course, their teammates, they want to win. They're in game 7, so having Dottie on the field is going to be a massive help. But wouldn't you think some of them would be like, you know what, we made it this far in these
Yeah.
6 games. Let's see if we can finish it out.
Yeah, and
You
I
know?
mean, they didn't. The girl who was playing catcher, I mean, they made her.
I would have been
like,
pissed.
they didn't treat her very well. Just the whole
No.
thing. Like, I guess if you're into sports like we are, this
Looking
stuff
at
just
it.
doesn't add up.
You're
If you're just an average
overthinking it.
person watching the movie and you couldn't care less, you know, it probably all looks great. It's exciting. It's dramatic, but like in real life, the team's going to have a problem.
You're
Sure.
overthinking it.
If anything,
It's like
her returning like this might make it even worse and ruin their chances in that last game.
Well, and you want to talk about overthinking, Pete? I've got issues with this
Oh my god.
with
I
this
just think
last
this is
inning of
hilarious.
play.
It's like, okay, we're managing the details because when you look at the percentage, her batting average against that pitcher.
That's not what
Sure.
I'm saying.
know.
I'm
It's-
saying her presence could have thrown everything off and caused a schism.
What's her OPS? That's what I want to know.
So here's my
Or
take
more.
on the end of the movie, and this is where I kind of have an issue with Dottie again. So, in my opinion, the last, play of the game, I feel she dropped the ball.
Yeah, the team deserved better, right?
So she let her team down. So she left her team, comes back for game 7. In the top of the 9th inning, she gets the go-ahead hit, like she's in it. She's in
Yep.
it to win it against her sister. Then when her sister comes up, she tells the pitcher, throw him high heat. She can't hit him. She can't lay off him.
She was
And
challenging.
so
her
it's
sister.
like she's, screw my sister, screw the other team, let's win this thing. But then at the last second, she gets bowled over. And in my opinion, she holds on to that ball. Kits out, they win, at least they're tied and they continue to play. But I think she comes back for game 7 just to lose it for her team. So
I
her
know.
sister will be
Yeah.
happy.
That's why
Oh, God, I,
I
have a problem
think
with that.
I disagree.
it's great for Kit, but what about her teammates? What about all the
Right.
pitches?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the reason she told the pitcher to throw it high was because she was challenging her sister. She believed in her. She knew that she could do it, and I think she dropped the ball intentionally
I'm not sure
Um,
that I agree with that.
because
Yeah, I don't think so either.
she certainly wasn't upset that she
Subconsciously,
dropped the
there might have
ball.
been like that kind of.
but-
she's playing it. She's angry. Like she's pissed and she wants to win. Her competitive fire is back at that point.
Well, yeah, but
think.
then until she sees her sister celebrating and getting carried off the field, and she's smiling,
Well,
and there's a shot that her and Tom Hanks are next to each other, watching the celebration, and you can tell she's happy for her sister.
Yeah, and I
And-
think what happened is then it's kind of like a win-win. Like, okay, I lost, it sucks, but I do love my sister, and I'm very happy that she finally got the glory that she never had. And so she's willing to let it go, and she's willing to be like, I wish we would have won, but I still can. And that's again, if the story is just about these two sisters, they both get something, but all those other players kind of get screwed.
They do get
Well,
screwed.
long term, it's a happy ending. Like you said, it's a happy ending for everybody because if she holds on to that ball, then the sister is going to have that resentment forever.
And the game's
so-
not over either because now they got to go to extras.
Well,
Maybe
geez,
Dottie
you're-
was like, "Oh, I don't want to go to extras. Let's
Sure.
just get this over with. If I drop the ball, then the game's over and I can get home."
I can go home to my husband. We can
That's
start
right.
having a family.
Mhm.
I don't know.
So I
Yeah.
guess coming back to watch it, I enjoyed watching it again. But that last inning of play, the way Dottie left her team and then comes back, and then the last inning just kind of rubs me the wrong way a little bit. But still a good film. I mean, John,
Yeah,
what-
I was going to say, it sounds like you guys hated the movie. because
No,
of-
I didn't say that at all.
Well, you're saying you're basically picking apart every little
Here's
overthinking.
I have two things that I don't love about this movie. I don't like the beginning and the end, and I'm not a huge fan
Or
of
the
Gina
middle.
Davis. I'm not a fan of Gina Davis's character. I like most of the other characters a lot more than her,
That's
and that
no,
focal point at the end kind of throws it off for me.
I get it. I
Yep.
get it.
Well, and there's other scenes in this movie too that are quite touching. The scene where at tryouts and the woman can't read, and
Oh,
another
yeah.
woman goes
Oh,
up
that's
and
another one I was going to
and
bring up. Okay, I get
talks,
it.
gets her through it. I mean, I get choked up every single time I see that scene. It's such a sweet, looking out for each other scene. I love it. I just think
You guys
it's
are going
nice.
to know. You're going to, Mister. I'm going to roll my eyes. Okay, even if you can't read, at some point, haven't you learned to recognize your own name, though, probably? The only thing she has to
Oh
read
my
is her name.
God, you overthink everything.
Yeah,
I'm not overthinking that at all.
I like it. I think it's such a sweet scene. That there was another. The scene where they're warming up and a ball rolls over to an African American player or woman, and she throws it over Dottie's head all the way to the other player, showing she's got just a cannon of an arm. And of course, black players weren't allowed to play in this league. And just that nod between Dottie and that woman, like, yeah, it sucks you can't be out here. You know, we're not playing against the best. You know, that was a nice scene.
I think Pete just focuses on only the negative things I say. I like the movie, and I said a lot of nice things about
You
it.
focus on the negative things of everything else. I focus on the negative in you.
A lot of negative, but a good movie overall. Can we all agree? Can we all agree on that one?
Yes, we can.
Anything else regarding the movie?
I don't.
That's everything I got.
All right. So for our top 5 this evening, we are going to go with female-dominated movies or television shows, if you want to throw one of those in. So we're going to have, I'll go first. We got Brad is second, and then Pete will have the third pick. And I think for my number 1.
And so we don't have any real rules on this, right? Like, it's just, if we feel like it's dominated in a female cast or one character, even
females.
either the majority of the major players are women, or
I was thinking more ensembles, but I have a couple pretty high up here where it's more about just kind of one person. So I just want to make sure we're all that's going to be.
We are going to have pretty loose.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, loose rules.
So I am going to go with Kill Bill Volume 1.
Oh, I did not see that coming.
We had Lucy Liu in this. We had Vivica A. Fox and Uma Thurman were the main 3 in this first one. And so I'm going to go with that.
All right. I'm going to go with my number 1 overall, which I thought maybe you would pick, Gifford. We discussed it. You picked it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is Clueless.
It's highlighted on my sheet.
Because that's just one of those movies I could put in and watch anytime.
Yeah. Cher and Dion, absolutely great, along with Brittany Murphy's character, God rest her soul. Yeah, great pick.
Very well, then. I will pick Thelma and Louise.
Oh, shit. I almost picked it, but I thought it would come back to me.
Nope,
another Gina Davis vehicle.
Sniped you.
Yeah, that's a movie where I like Gina Davis a lot more. I wanted that movie. I love that movie. Good pick, Pete.
Thank you.
All right, I am going to take Bridesmaids. Love that.
Okay.
Can watch it every single time it's
Also
on TV.
highly rated on my list. I would have picked that as well. All right, so this is one that I was kind of referring to. So this one, it's more about the central character, but then her best friend is a huge part of it too. But I'm picking Pretty Woman.
Huh.
I think Julia Roberts' role is just so big in that movie that even though Richard Gere is, co-star, it's all about her. And then also, and it's Kit again, isn't it?
Kit.
Kit. Look at that.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I'll allow it. I mean, it's named Pretty Woman.
Yeah. I mean, and I wouldn't just pick any romantic comedy or anything. That one I just feel like fits this category.
Yep.
All right. In that case, I will pick. You pick Clueless. I'm going to go with Legally Blonde.
Excellent.
Now you took Reese Witherspoon from me too.
I had that one on my list as well, Pete. Okay, I'm going to take Charlie's Angels.
The movie or the show?
I'm going to take the movie. I'll take the first one.
With Lucy Liu again.
Oh yeah,
Cameron Diaz
and Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, I did enjoy that first one. I remember. I think I only maybe watched it once, but I enjoyed it a lot.
Well, we had Bill Murray in there as well.
Yeah, we brought that up just recently, right?
Yep.
All right. Oh boy. See, there's a lot of good ones here.
Mhm.
Which one is the best for me? Um. All right, I'm gonna pick this one for my daughter, but I also enjoy these movies. Mamma Mia.
That's actually on my list, and I love that movie too. And we saw a high school production of that just
Oh, we
this
did too.
past year.
Burnsville did it.
Oh, nice.
And that well, we saw that, and then watched the next night. We watched the movie while it was fresh, and then like for a month straight, I could not listen to anything other than ABBA, and I had them all the time.
Mhm.
Love it. So good pick, Brad.
Oh, thanks.
I'm gonna pick A League of Their Own. How's that?
Very good.
A Legally Blonde of Their Own.
Oh, good show. That would be a good movie. There's a show.
Okay. Well, Brad picked Pretty Woman. I'm going to take Wonder Woman.
Ooh.
Yes.
I think with, a whole Amazonian tribe there of women, I think that's pretty well dominated.
And I think me and Pete both agree. We both thought that was a pretty great movie, right, Pete? Until
the end.
The last
until
15 minutes.
Oh, it's
20
a tough way
minute,
to finish.
Yeah.
And
was-
then the second one was a disaster.
No, that second one's good. Forget about it.
That was really tough. But the
Yeah.
majority
But
of
the
that
first
movie
one is
was
so
excellent.
fun, and I mean,
Mhm.
it is.
It was
love
good.
Just-
Yeah.
And even with the ending, it's still a good movie. But like, I probably should shut. At this point, I've seen it, so I probably shut it off at that point.
Right.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go then with Mean Girls.
Oh,
Kind of surprised that hasn't gotten nabbed yet.
I have never really seen that.
You
I've seen
kidding
parts
me?
of it. No.
Oh wow, that's
Mhm.
insane. You would love
Oh.
that movie.
Are we in round 4?
Yeah.
We
All
are.
right. There's a couple of good ones. I'm trying to decide. I'm going to go with The Golden Girls, a TV show.
See,
Nice.
I didn't know TV was a thing, so I don't even have any on my list.
There were
so-
two that I thought of right away after you mentioned that we could do TV shows.
And now that you
that is
picked
one
that
of them.
one, that's a very obvious, great pick. That
Yeah, I'm happy to get that deep in the draft like we are.
Sure. Oh yeah, for sure. All right, I can't let it go any longer. I'm gonna go with Frozen.
oh, I didn't have that one on my
It
list.
was
Wow,
on my list.
huh?
Definitely on my list.
That one didn't pop up on anything I looked at and didn't register with me when I was trying to. Good one.
Thank you.
Okay, so I can pick any of these up here. Well, the one, oh God, I'm between two that are kind of similar. All right, well, I'll pick Pitch Perfect because,
There you go.
I mean, what a fun movie.
Yes, it is. Are you picking the first one, the second one, or the
Just
third one?
the first one, yes, but
Brad,
Is
you're
there
gonna
more
I
than
like
three?
all of them. I did. I'm taking the series, is what I'm doing.
Is there more than 3?
I think there's only 3.
Okay.
I think it's 3. Brad, you're gonna love my last pick. I guarantee it.
Guarantee it.
The
Are you Tom Shane?
it's probably the first TV show I actually remember watching regularly.
Another
It's a
TV show.
sitcom. I'm going with
is it
Alice. It's Alice.
Nice.
You're right. I do love it. See, if I would have thought of TV shows, that could have really expanded this. So I feel like that's kind of, we should have figured that earlier. But you did it, Pete. Good picks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
That's the whole thing, right?
Think
That's
they
it.
were
That's
good
it.
all the way around. Well, I got a few extra here. If
Oh,
you
I
wanna-
got several.
Oh, yeah.
here.
So I got Ocean's 8, the second Charlie's Angels movie, Steel Magnolias, Bring It On.
That was my other pick with Pitch Perfect at the end. I almost picked it many times. God,
I
I
got
love that movie.
Sex in the City as a TV show
Oh yeah, there you go.
would be a big one. The movie Bombshell.
Yes,
With,
I have that down.
Mm-hmm. Coyote Ugly. And then Hidden Figures. was another
Yep.
one I had.
Hidden Figures was probably the next one on my list. So
I've
had-
anybody else?
Yep. So all the ones that we picked and you mentioned, but then I've got Bad Moms
Yep.
and also A Bad Mom's Christmas. There was a Netflix movie like 2 years ago with Amy Poehler, but it's about a bunch of high school girls. Moxie. They make like a magazine in high school. It's really good. The Help.
Oh
The
yeah, I
Help.
never
The
saw
Help's
The
good.
Help. I think Courtney brought that one up.
Jennifer Lopez in Hustlers. Me and my wife saw that. That was a good movie.
Okay.
You mentioned Magnolias. Aaron Brockovich, another. So that was my other Julia Roberts kind of more solo thing, but again, she dominates the movie.
Mhm.
And then you mentioned Bombshell. The only other one I have listed is kind of up in the air because one of the main characters is a guy, but it's Heathers.
Heathers
Oh,
was on
yeah.
my list. Yes.
Yeah. I would
Yep,
totally.
which
Heather.
Christian Slater has such a big role in it that I would. That's why
I
I
would
didn't put it high.
I would have given you credit for it.
Yeah, totally
Um,
gave you credit for
on
that.
my list. I had 9 to 5 was on my list.
Yeah, there you go.
Actually, I think all the other ones that I had was Bridesmaids. Yeah, we literally mentioned every other one that I had on my list. So
literally.
good.
Good.
We
deal.
literally did it. Hey, Gifford.
You know what
Yes,
else
sir.
we've literally reached the end of for this month, Pete?
Oh, we got to close the yearbook. Good thinking.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good catch there, Brad.
We've literally
Yes.
reached the last page of the yearbook for 1992.
Wow, we did it. Hey, Gifford, you know what band is in a league of their own?
Preacher Row.
But even though it's not the end of the month, though, Gifford, do you want to plug your great upcoming show, though?
Oh, we do
Okay.
have a special coming up. So we've got 5 Mondays in this month. So to fill in that 5th spot, we are going to have some fun guests on, and I have put together an initials game for all to play. So I hope that you join us next week for that one. And
And-
that should be a real good time.
Gifford's
So-
games are always top notch.
Top notch.
Top notch.
Did we break a record? I think we released 6 episodes in 1 month.
That's
That would
because
be
we
a
count.
record.
We had our Teo Pengalis one.
Well, I've
And
been
now
through a
this
lot
one.
this month, so it's
Yeah.
fitting that we would put out more episodes.
Yes, exactly.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, here it is, Preacher Row.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Don't cry now.
Standing on my own 2 feet. No one's here to comfort me. Sorry for what I have done. Sorry that your son is gone. 7 steps and it will be my last. Hands tied, tell me on my back. I turn and I look to you. I'm scared, but there's nothing I can do. Aim high if you want to.